Hello, I'm Cressida and I'm reading book 3 in the How to Train Your Dragon series, which is called How to Speak Dragonese, which is good because I want to learn how to speak it. And it says at the beginning, Hiccup Horrendous Haddock the Third is about to set out on the most alarming episode of his life so far. Join Hiccup on his quest, although he doesn't quite realise he's going on a quest yet. It begins with the prophecy of the king. Lost things here. The dragon time is coming, and only a king can save you now. The king shall be the champion of champions. You shall know the king by the king's lost things. A fang-free dragon, my second best sword, my Roman shield, an arrow from the land that does not exist, the heartstone, the key that opens all locks, the ticking thing, the throne, the crown. And last and best of all, the 10, the dragon jewel shall save all men. So we know that Hiccup, in the first book, he got 2 of the lost things, a fang-free dragon and my second best sword. But we don't quite know why he needs them yet. But we know it's got something to do with Grimbeard the Ghastly, who we met in how to be a pirate. Okay, it begins with... Once there were dragons. Imagine a time of dragons, some larger than mountainside, slumbering in the depths of the oceans, some smaller than your fingernail, hopping through the heather. Imagine a time of Viking heroes in which men were men and women were sort of men too, and even little babies had chest hair. And now imagine that you were a boy called Hiccup Horrendous Haddock the Third, not yet 12 years old and not yet trying out to be the kind of hero his father would have liked him to be. That boy, of course, was really me, because this is Hiccup speaking now. But the boy I was then seems so far away to me now that I shall tell this story almost as if I were a stranger. So imagine that instead of being me, this stranger, this hero in waiting, is you. You are small. You have red hair. You don't realise it yet, but you're about to set out on the most alarming episode of your life so far. When you're an old man like I am, you will call it my first encounter with the Roman Empire. And even at this distance in time, it will still cause your old, wrinkled arms to prickle with goosebumps as you remember the perils and dangers of that terrifying adventure. And the first chapter is called The Boarding an Enemy Ship Lesson. Once upon a foggy day, in a cold country long ago, 7 small Viking boats floated through the sea known as Woden's bathtub. The fog had swallowed up the peaceable country to the north, and the Isle of Werk to the west, and indeed had swallowed up so much of everything that it was as if the boats were sky boats, and had left the earth entirely, and were sailing through cloud banks way up in the air. That's rather nice. In the first boat, the fat boar sat Gobber the Belch, a 6.5-foot giant, in teeny-weeny hairy shorts, who had leg muscles so enormous they had muscles of their own, and a beard like a hedgehog struck by lightning. Gobber was the teacher in charge of the pirate training programme on the Isle of Werk, and this sail through the fog was part of a boarding an enemy ship lesson. The 6 boy-sized boats that were following the fat boar each had 2 boys in them, and these boys were Gobber's pupils, young members of the tribe of hairy cooligans. "Okay, this is Gobber. Okay, you disgusting globs of girly snot!" yelled Gobber in a bellow so loud it could be heard several miles away. "We are now going to practice boarding an enemy ship on the easy target of a peaceable fishing boat. Can anyone remember the first rule of ambush?" Take the enemy by surprise, sir," shouted out Snotface, not like a tall, unpleasantly smug-looking boy with gigantic nostrils and the beginnings of a small moustache. "Very good, Snotlout," purred Gobber the Belch, and he continued at full volume. "In a fog this thick, your victim ship will not have a chance of seeing you coming." "They can hear us, though," thought Hiccup Horrendous Haddock the Third, gloomily trying to peer through the fog. Unless, of course, we have had the luck to stumble across to some completely deaf peaceable fishermen. Hiccup Friend's Harry III is rather surprisingly the hero of this story. I say surprisingly because the first thing you noticed about Hiccup was how very, very ordinary he was. He was on the small side with a slightly freckled, absolutely average face that would always get overlooked in a crowd. His dragon, Toothless, who was at that moment fast asleep down the front of Hiccup's shirt, was just as average as his owner. The only truly remarkable thing about Toothless was how remarkably small he was. He was at least half the size of the other boys' dragons. And as you can imagine, this wasn't something to boast about. Gobber's shouting woke the little dragon up because he's just down Hiccup's waistcoat there. He poked his little nose out of the neck of Hiccup's tunic. What's happening? He asked sleepily in Dragonese. Oh, nothing unusual, Hiccup whispered back, scratching Toothless behind the horns. Toothless loved that. Gobber is shouting, Snapnight is showing off, and we're all out here floating in the fog and the cold when we could be tucked up in front of a roasting fire. You can go back to sleep if you like. Toothless chuckled. You Vikings are as mad as mackerel, he said. Well, we'll wait, Toothless, when it's lunchtime. And he burrowed back down to a nice warm spot just next to Hiccup's left armpit and closed his eyes again. Hiccup was sharing his boat with his best friend Fishlegs, who was even skinnier than Hiccup and looks a lot like a Dadley Longlegs with asthma and a squint. Fishlegs put his hand up in the air. It's all very well that they can't see us coming, sir, he pointed out logically, but how are we going to see them so we can board them in the first place? Good point, Fishlegs. Easy peasy, old plankton brain, boomed Gobber, very pleased with himself. Peaceable fishing boats are always followed by flocks of lesser blackback sea dragons hoping for a bite. All you have to do is to follow the racket they make and you'll have found yourself a boat. You then simply board the boat yelling the hooligan war cry. Repeat after me. Yeah! Yelled Gobber the Belch. Yeah! Yelled 10 of the boys back at him, brandishing their swords like maniacs. Yeah! Repeated Hiccup and Fishlegs without much enthusiasm. The Peaceables are terrified of us, you hooligans. Won't nobody knows why. So Gobber, right lads, use still one of their helmets to prove you have completed this exercise and report back to me. This is going to be like burgling berries from a baby, boomed Gobber the Belch. Oh, I nearly forgot, silly me. Gobber laughed carelessly. The one thing you do have to bear in mind is that on no account should you leave this bay. This is very important. Because just to the south of here runs the summer current. A warm stream of water, and you know what lives in the summer current. Sharkworms, gulped Fishlegs. Not a good idea, sharkworm. That's right, Fishlegs, boomed Gobber. I know Hiccup, our natural history expert, can tell us something about sharkworms. Certainly, sir, replied Hiccup, delighted to be asked a question about his favourite subject, dragons. He took out of his pocket a small, scruffy notebook with How to Speak Dragonese written in large scrawly letters on the front. In this book, Hiccup kept notes on the Dragonese language and descriptions of the various species of dragons and their habitats. Well, said Hiccup, having trouble reading his own handwriting, sharkworms are a kind of dragon that look a lot like sharks. The adults can grow to about 6 metres in length. They have at least 5 rows of teeth. Get on with it, boy, boomed Gobber. They are highly carnivorous and they not only scavenge off ships, but climb aboard and attack you there. On land, they can easily outrun a man. I would suggest, though, that even if there was even a chance that we could run into sharkworms, we should leave the area immediately. I already know they're not going to. For Lord's sake, boy, grinned Gobber the Belch, with that kind of attitude, you might never leave the house. I'm training you to be pirates, not softies. What happens if we got lost, sir? Pleaded Fishlegs. Lost? Snorted Gobber. Lost? Vikings don't get lost. Honestly, sir, sneered Sockface Snotlight, I don't know why you don't throw Hiccup the Useless and his Fishlegs failure of a friend out of the tribe completely. They're a disgrace to all of us. Hiccup and Fishlegs looked miserable. I mean, look at their boat, sir, continued the sneering Snotlight. We're Vikings, sir, the greatest shipbuilders the ancient world has ever known, sir. A bluff like that just makes us look ridiculous. You think you're so clever, Snotlout, retorted Hiccup determinedly. But this boat can go a lot faster than you think. Looks aren't everything, you know. Unfortunately, Sola had a point. The hopeful puffin was more of a floating accident than an actual boat. I love the hopeful puffin. She had been built by Hiccup and Fishlegs in shipbuilding lessons, and they were both hopeless at woodwork. Something kept on going wrong with the design. Instead of being long and thin like a Viking ship should be, she had ended up fat and almost completely round. Her mast was too long and leaned lopsidedly to the left, so that in a strong wind she went round in circles. She also had a leak. Every half an hour, Fishlegs or Hiccup had to remember to bail out the seawater that had collected in the bottom of the boat with Hiccup's helmet. Fishlegs' helmet also had a leak. Gobber the Belch looked at the hopeful puffin. Said Gobber thoughtfully. You might have a point, Snot clapped. Now, he continued briskly, at the sound of my horn, the exercise will begin. He raised a curly-whirly bugle to his lips. Oh, jumping jellyfish, moaned Fishlegs. I hate the pirate training program. We're going to get lost. We're going to sink. We're going to get eaten slowly by shark worms. Screech! Screamed the bugle. And that is the hopeful puffin. You can see it's round, and actually right at the top there you can see its flag. Anyway, I'll tell you, it's got a puffin on it. So the next chapter is called Shark Worms. So I have a feeling they're going to read them. But I'll read that one tomorrow.